Unit 5, Lesson 4, Components of the Cardiovascular System, Part 2, Circulatory System. In the previous lesson, we got the lowdown on the pump itself. Now, let's look at the complex series of hoses that move the blood out of the heart and back in. Before we do that, though, we're going to divide the circulatory system into two separate systems: the pulmonary circulatory system and the systemic circulatory system. The coronary circulation comes off of the systemic system. In the pulmonary system, which is controlled by the right side of the heart, deoxygenated blood leaves the heart via the pulmonary arteries and is sent to the lungs. In the lungs, those arteries divide into smaller arteries called arterioles. Those continue to divide into smaller arterioles and finally into the tiny capillaries. Capillaries are so small that blood cells have to line up single file to pass through. It is at this microscopic level that the walls of the vessel are so thin that gases can pass between the blood and the air in the lungs. This happens in the alveoli, or air sacs in the lungs. This newly oxygenated blood now moves through the capillaries into tiny vessels called venules, which merge with other venules, eventually becoming veins, which merge ultimately into the left and right pulmonary veins, which return the oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left atrium of the heart. That's the end of the pulmonary circulatory system. The oxygenated blood now passes to the systemic circulation. The left atrium contracts, sending the blood to the left ventricle, which contracts and sends the blood out of the heart into the major artery of the body, the aorta. As the aorta leaves the heart, major vessels branch off to supply the head and arms. The aorta turns downward, with major branches coming off to supply the viscera, or internal organs of the abdominopelvic cavity, and the kidneys. At about the level of the navel, or umbilicus, the aorta splits one last time to become the left and right iliac arteries, which continue to divide and supply the legs and feet. All along this course, major arteries divide and become smaller arteries, which divide and become arterioles, which continue to divide and ultimately become capillaries. Again, it is at this microscopic level that exchanges are able to occur between the blood and the interstitial fluids between the cells of our bodies. After those exchanges take place, good stuff into the cells, bad stuff into the blood, the capillaries merge and become venules, which merge into veins, which merge into larger veins and ultimately join the vena cava, the largest vein of the systemic circulation, which then pours the deoxygenated blood into the right atrium. At rest, on average, it takes about 50 seconds for an individual blood cell to make a complete circuit through your body. Pretty amazing, eh? Well, there are the basics of our amazing, wonderful cardiovascular system. Check out the recap, view the links, do the exercise, you know the drill. Then, on to the last lesson of the unit, where we'll talk about some of the diseases and disorders of the cardiovascular system.